Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey has donated $15 million to a group of mayors who are looking to pilot guaranteed monthly income programs all across their cities. The payments are part of an initiative called Mayors for a Guaranteed Income, and that was founded by the mayor of Stockton, California, Michael Tubbs. Mayor Tubbs joins us now. Mayor, good to see you as always. You're testing out this concept of universal basic income, so I'm curious how you're rolling this out in your city.
So in Stockton, we've been piloting a guaranteed income since 2019, before COVID-19. And what we've seen over the past 18 months is that people spend money just like you and I spend money. So money's being spent on food, money's being spent on utilities. Particularly during this pandemic, money's been spent on ensuring that folks who are waiting for access to unemployment benefits have some sort of monthly payment to get through month to month. People are spending money on helping loved ones, and people are spending the money on staying home when they're told to shelter in place or they're told not to go to work if they're showing symptoms.
Mayor Tubbs, how have these new funds that have been donated by Jack Dorsey, how have they been allocated so far?
So we're a network of about 30 mayors, 30 mayors from across this country, from rural places and from cities, from the north, from the east, from the south, from the Midwest. And every city is eligible to apply for up to $500,000 to build out their basic income pilots. And we know that a lot of cities are going to start hitting the ground running next year. We've heard from Columbia, South Carolina, Mayor Benjamin. We've heard from Mayor Garcia in LA. The mayor of Compton, Asia Brown, has already started a pilot. The mayor of St. Paul, Minnesota, has already started a pilot. The mayors of Providence, Rhode Island, and Madison, Wisconsin, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The mayors on the screen, all are Tacoma, Washington, Richmond, Virginia, etc. They're all have either started pilots or going to start piloting. And we're all part of a research consortium at the Center for Guaranteed Income Research at the University of Pennsylvania. So we'll have a good data set to really show Congress and show the American people what we know to be true, that folks deserve an economic floor, and that in doing so, we actually will power our economy and allow us all to recover from the devastation of COVID-19 faster.
Yeah, that was a pretty big list of mayors that we just showed right there. And interesting because there was a report, Mayor Tubbs, this week in Politico that Andrew Yang is at least talking to advisors potentially for a run for mayor here in New York City. I'm curious, do you envision a universal basic income working in a city as large as New York City?
Well, basic income could be piloted in cities, but to get to scale, the federal government has to step up. And I think we forget that there's precedent for this. In 1935, during a Great Depression, FDR came up with the idea of unemployment insurance and Social Security, which were big federal expenditures, which met the moment, however. And we've continued that. That has actually been the bedrock of our COVID-19 response, has been unemployment insurance. And I think in 2020, we have to move from beyond 1935 understandings and build back better and build upon those. So I think cities can pilot the basic income, but the federal government's going to have to make the investment directly into people, just like we make investments into tax subsidies, and we make investments into corporate write-offs, we make investments into war and weapons of war, etc. We have to begin to invest directly in the American people.
You mentioned the investments. What are the next steps after these pilot programs are done? Is it just looking for more people to invest and getting more governments to invest in this policy? Where do you sort of go after the pilot stage?
Yeah, well, I think the pilots signal a system error. The fact that you have all of us mayors calling folks in the private sector to make sure that our constituents have the basic necessities needed to live with dignity is actually abhorrent and unacceptable. So the idea behind the pilot is to really push action on a policy level, to show that it's not scary, to show that the majority of the American people understand the economy is not working for working people, that for the vast majority of folks in this country who are working hard, who are contributing, are still unable to afford rent if they're minimum wage workers, or are still unable to pay for necessities, or are still unable to pay for healthcare costs. And that's just unacceptable, and it's a choice. It's a policy choice. So the idea behind the pilots is to give our Congress, and notably the majority-led Senate with Majority Leader McConnell, to have the courage and the moral fortitude to do what is right and necessary for all of the American people.
Mayor Tubbs, we know you are a rising star within the Democratic Party, especially in California politics. We know Democrats had a pretty tough November, yourself included, except if your name was Joe Biden. What did you learn from your time as being a mayor, and would have you done anything different in the role now that you're no longer going to be the mayor?
Oh, no, I am so proud of the work we've done in 4 years. I'm leaving the office of the mayor of Stockton with a $13 million surplus. When I first ran for office, the city was bankrupt. We were twice named All-American City. Overall crime is down 22% this year. Homicides and shootings were down 40% each of the last 2 years. We have a scholarship program for every single kid who graduates from our largest school district. We're front and center around this idea of a guaranteed income. So we have finally a strategy to address the real issues of homelessness. We finally have dollars allocated to expanding shelter capacity, to building navigation centers, to do more permanent supportive housing. So I'm incredibly proud of the work I was able to do with my team as mayor. And I think the biggest lesson has been that disinformation is real. You can't be so focused on doing the work that you forget that there's folks who don't like progress. The status quo has a lot of friends, and I just really underestimate the power of social media and false narratives and racist narratives to really paint and taint people's visions of what's actually happening. So if I was doing anything over again, I would have maybe did a little bit less work and maybe built a whole social media arm of my team to monitor what's going on Facebook and to also just make sure the truth is out there. I probably would spend more time helping our local newspaper because we need local newspapers and journalism to survive. And the fact that we're a news desert gave rise to a disinformation site that's caused havoc on the community. We're all worse off for it.
Yeah, amen. I totally agree with more investment about local newspapers. It's so sad what's been happening with them. Stockton, California Mayor Michael Tubbs. Mayor Tubbs, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for always joining us.